The XPRIZE Foundation runs incredible large-scale competitions around the world that set very clear, measurable, objective goals. The first person to build, demonstrate this capability wins the prize money. And the world gets the benefits.
Competitions and prizes can actually bring innovation to solve not just any problem, but really big, challenging problems.
I think we're about setting a high bar, and you want to set a goal for people that's inspiring, but it's also hard.
When we're designing an XPRIZE, we're looking for something that is audacious and achievable.
Goals that are far beyond where the industry is.
Problems that the markets have failed to solve.
To help people really now dig into their imagination, creativity is everywhere.
We are leveraging the genius of folks from all over the world.
The tinkers, the entrepreneurs, the engineers.
People who are not satisfied with the way things are and know that it can be better.
It's all around hopefulness. It's all about collaboration.
The long tail effect of a prize has probably as much value as the prize itself.
At every single level. I've seen things go from a paper plane to an actual spaceship.
We've seen a private spaceflight revolution.
$300 million invested into the lunar economy. Over 10 million kids integrated in STEM education work.
Technology that increased the rate of cleaning up oil spills.
Technology to help keep people safe.
To make sure everyone is healthy.
Feeding people, educating people, cleaning the air, exploring the oceans or space. We're changing what people believe is possible.
We want to have an ideal future, and it's up to us to build that.
We don't care who you are or where you come from. If you're able to accomplish this task, you win, and that's it.
Thank you. Well, that's it. It's that simple, really. We found that at XPRIZE, we can make it that simple for everyone to participate. So as you heard, I am an engineer, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an astronaut, and I found a place I can bring my time, talent, and treasure all together to make an impact in the world, and that has been at XPRIZE as the CEO of the foundation. We all live in a very unique time right now. Our environment, everything around us is changing very rapidly. The exponential technologies being developed is making an impact, and in a way that not everyone understands it or can predict it. And that can sometimes be scary, but at the same time, it can be very exciting. These things have given individuals an enormous power to make a difference. Last week I was, actually not last week, a couple of days ago, I was reading about the UN report that just came out. And when you look at some of these reports, not very hopeful about the future, talking about extinction of 1 million species in the next few years, and how we're really using the resources of our planet at a rate that is not sustainable. But we're not here to talk about problems, rather talk about a hopeful future and solutions and how we can bring those solutions to the market and really make a big difference. I want to maybe tell you how we do this through sort of the arc of how we operate. And you have 3 people here who've gone through different parts of what we do at the XPRIZE Foundation. I'm going to start with my story a little bit because it all starts with going out there with an idea of a prize and bringing someone who believes in it and sponsors. So the first ever prize was the Ansari XPRIZE, which was to open up space and democratize access to space, to bring all the resources available up there to help us create better lives here for humanity. And Peter Diamandis, who's the founder of the foundation, went around the world, knocked on 150 doors, and heard no from every one of them until he found out about me and read about my passion for space and found me and talked about sponsoring the prize. And of course, as an entrepreneur, I looked at it as like, wow, this is de-risked investment. I don't have to pay anyone until they actually demonstrate that the solution works. What a better way to support something you believe in. And of course, I said yes, and I became, and my family, we all became the title sponsor of the first ever Ansari XPRIZE. It was an amazing experience because what I was seeing is just that $10 million prize, the incentive, created such a big movement around the globe. The prize went on operating for a long time before it was won. It was won in 2004, and we're celebrating the 15th anniversary of the winning of the prize just this year at our big event in October in Paramount Studios. And what we saw is that $10 million activated over $100 million in investment in privatization of space. If you hear around about SpaceX, Blue Origin, and all these companies actually building launch capabilities or different technologies that's opening up space, it's all because the regulatory changes that made it possible, and it all started with this prize about 19, 20 years ago. And all of these activities happens just because you put a target out there and you invite the world, the crowd, to actually go solve this grand, audacious problem for you. And we've seen that model work, and we have 10 billion plus industries now built in new space industries. And we started repeating this model in different areas of problems that plagues our planet and humanity. And we've seen already a lot of success. $150 million in prizes have been launched. We have 9 prizes that we have awarded and 6 that are still active. We have another $250 million in prizes that are in the works, and we hope to announce them soon. But before I go further on what we're doing in the future, I want to let Emily tell you about a prize that's in operation. So after we launch a prize, it takes a while for us to gather all the innovators and to actually make it work. And we have one that's very exciting to me and to many of the people involved at XPRIZE, and I let Emily tell you all about it. So Emily, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Global Learning XPRIZE and why you're so excited about it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, everybody. The Global Learning XPRIZE launched about 5 years ago. It's the reason I came to XPRIZE and left academia. And the purpose of this challenge was to say there are 250 million children around the world who still can't read, write, and do basic math. In the time we live in now, we believe technology can solve these sort of problems. And by we, that really is we. That there's not the same experts that people go to over and over again who are necessarily the ones who are going to be able to solve that. So the way we went about to frame this challenge and finding a solution was asking teams from around the world to create open source learning software that would be deployed with out-of-school children. So we ultimately ran a test in Tanzania and East Africa, and our teams designed in both Swahili, the national language of Tanzania, and English. We were in 170 remote villages, and Anousheh knows, she's been there with me recently, and even in the car you were saying, oh, remote is really remote. Yeah. I mean, this means for a child to go to school, you're walking hours and hours each way, let alone what happens when you're in the classroom. So our teams created learning software specifically for children who, by age 10, still can't write their name or count to 10, and may not have a literate adult in their community, and probably have little to no exposure to technology. So designing for that specific population so we can unlock those minds to transform those children's lives, their communities, and hopefully the future for all of us. We just closed our competition or our field trial in Tanzania about just over a month ago. After waiting all this time, if you're learning about this for the first time, this is an exciting point to hear about it, because we finally got our data back, and we were blown away, really, by what this technology can do. So we are awarding our grand prize winner next week. A week from today, we will find out which technology, we had 5 finalists in the field, which of those learning software solutions worked the best with these children. Importantly, when we announce our winner, we are also open sourcing all of the code. So it will be freely available to you, to people in your networks, anywhere in the world. If someone has connectivity, they can access this code, they can build upon it, customize it to their particular community, so that we can solve this challenge, break through this, the hundreds of millions of children who don't have the opportunity to build a future, and we can leverage this technology to transform their lives and all of ours.
And the impact is not just from one of the teams that wins the prize, but all of the finalists actually, what I've heard, have done amazing and gotten amazing results. So they all win and they all can benefit society in different ways.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us where these finalists come from or a little bit about how global we are?
Yes, we have 5 teams. We have one that's based in India, one that is Korea and US based, one that's Kenya and the UK, one in the US, and two that are in the US. But even our US teams worked with people around the world. So people sometimes think about XPRIZE as competitions, because that's what we do. We run these major global competitions, but to understand that it's really about collaboration. So even for teams, wherever they sit, in order to create technology that's going to work in that environment, they had to work with people who were all over the world, had all different skill sets to be able to create a technology that's going to really work.
Absolutely. So as you can see, when we say we crowdsource innovation, we're not just talking about small groups of crowds in US or in developed countries, but we're really truly talking about the global community of innovators. And at XPRIZE, we say that we do everything we do for our teams, and we have actually someone who has won one of our prizes, our Water Abundance Prize. So Laura, tell us about why you entered the competition. What was it so special about the prize, and how did you learn about it, and how you came about being part of it?
Well, we saw it as an opportunity to really be a part of the solution. And my husband and I, we both are partners. We joined forces, and he's a sustainable architect, a pioneer in sustainability. And so, I have a degree in journalism and a background in journalism, and so I was always looking for answers. And he was always looking for an answer to water scarcity issues and water and sustainable building. So both of us are native Californians, and we understand water scarcity. So at the time, we were kind of looking at atmospheric water, and we thought, this is a perfect opportunity for us to be a part of the solution. And so since we've been looking at atmospheric water, we did a couple community experiments to see if what would happen, because we were making so much water from air. So we started giving water away for free to the community. We're from Venice, California, and there's a huge homeless population there. And so we had so much water, we didn't know what to do with it. So we started giving out to the homeless. We hooked up a bottle filling station in the alley. We incorporated street art around it. And people came flocking to the wall of what they call the wall of water. And it was such an amazing experience for us, because we just saw the power of water. And then we still had more water to give away. So we connected with a community garden nonprofit in our neighborhood, and it was the middle of the drought in California, and no one was watering the water boxes. So we said, we can water your boxes. We can give you water from air. So they hired these young adults that were aged out of the foster care system from SPY, Safe Place for Youth, and they came and collected the water twice a week, and they watered the garden boxes. And to this day, both of these 2 projects still exist. That was 5 years ago, and so it was such a profound experience for us that we were ready to enter the XPRIZE, because we were armored with knowledge of water scarcity, what it can do for community, and how it can build communities.
We didn't make it easy for you to win.
No.
I know you had your own share of challenges. Maybe you can describe what XPRIZE was asking you to build, and what was the water abundance about, and what was your experience going through this prize and operating it, and some of the stories you can share there.
Sure. So the XPRIZE was basically, the Water Abundance XPRIZE was basically 98 teams from 27 countries through a 2-year arc. And the challenge of the XPRIZE was to make 2,000 liters of water in 24 hours for no more than 2 cents a liter, using 100% renewable energy. So during the testing, we made more than 2,000 liters of water in 24 hours. we made the water for less than 1/4 cent per liter, and we made it with 100% renewable energy. Also, we were making more energy than we were using, and we were sequestering carbon at the same time and making biochar, which is a beneficial soil amendment for agriculture.
That's amazing. You should clap for her right now. She deserves a standing ovation. That's amazing. That's amazing. So what have you learned through this process? I know that, we tell everyone that winning the prize is just the beginning for our teams, because now all we want is to take these solutions out to the market. So what are you doing about that, and how are you going about scaling this?
Yeah, well, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to scale this technology, because basically we have this generator, and it makes water, it makes high density energy, it makes hot air, it makes cold air, and the energy that we're making is it's 1/10 the amount of solar, the cost of solar, and 1/10 the size of solar. So that's a pretty drastic difference. And so we're also making hot air, cold air, and then we're sequestering carbon. And so, that's the technology that we have, and it's called WEDEW, which is it's spelled WEDEW, and it stands for Wood to Energy Deployed Emergency Water. And we basically so we have all the metrics now. We know what we can do. So now what we're trying to do is we're trying to implement a globally deployable plan. And so we've been working really closely with XPRIZE with that, and they've been absolutely wonderful and so supportive. So we're definitely pushing our technology further, and so we'll see what happens in the future.
Oh, great. So we heard how we push the boundaries in water. How are we pushing the boundaries in education, and how our teams are really exceeding expectations?
Yeah. So one of the things that's really different with Global Learning XPRIZE is the fact that it's open source technology. So this means that this is something that any particular community can build upon and use the innovators from where they are to say, what are the challenges your specific community is facing? What is it you need to be able to do? And this can be a local community, this can be a national government, this can be an area where there's many displaced people, such as a refugee camp. We're also engaging AI technology to realize that we can harness these technologies to reach an individual child. So I'm a mother of 2 young children in Los Angeles, and in their schools there still is, they have wonderful teachers. To be able to reach every single child. Each one of you in this room right now learns differently. You're intaking the information that we're giving you in a different way. Technology can free up teachers from doing things like assessments and the paperwork to assess where that particular child needs more help. It can give specific exercises for that child. It can reach children who have disabilities, particularly when we look globally. So many children aren't diagnosed with special needs. So to have software that can adapt to them and really work with children no matter what their capabilities, no matter what their backgrounds is, this is something that we could not do before. When you look at all the statistics from United Nations, people know that this is a serious crisis in education. We cannot train teachers fast enough. We cannot build schools quickly enough, but yet we have technology that can help, that can support in these areas to make sure that every child, particularly as we have a growing youth population globally, that we have people are educated. And I'm sure I don't have to tell people in this room that when you have an educated child, that helps in all sorts of ways. They can then have safer and healthier communities. It has repercussions not just in their community, but globally. This is why it's strategically important for the United States and other countries to say that we have educated children around the world. So this is something that matters to parents, individuals, and it should matter to all of us sitting in this room globally. This is, I truly believe, a revolution in what we can do with education. That we don't have to sit the same way we did in a classroom in the 1930s. There is dramatically new ways. We know the science is different. We know what the human brain can do. We have tech to reach people. So we believe this data that we're also going to release freely, so please go to xprize.org, especially after next week with our announcement. We want to show all of the data, what we learned, and have people build upon this. So one thing, if I may, that people don't always understand about XPRIZE is we're there to be a catalyst. And you just heard Laura talk about all the things she did and this incredible technology she and her team built. And then there's more to do when you go out into the world. There's ways that you can increase this and use the technology in different ways. So we want to prove that there is technology. We do a sophisticated field test, make sure we have the data to show that this is legitimate technology. And then it goes out and we can scale and say, how do we use this technology to better the world for everyone?
So I know you said that we're going to announce the winners next week, so I know we can't share everything about it, but can you at least say some maybe anecdotal things about what findings we're seeing and what if people want to be part of it?
Okay.
What can they do to be part of it?
So certainly, anecdotally, we had hundreds of people in Tanzania who were working across these 170 villages. So people who were regularly there, we built solar charging stations, we deployed, we had donated tablets from Google, we worked with UNESCO and the World Food Program, we employed many people in Tanzania to be able to say what's happening with the children here. Because remember, these are out-of-school children. It's not like a teacher is handing them tablets. They were brought into their communities and to say, how did children and their communities interact? So from those reports that we hear back from all the people who are helping us with this project, in the beginning, some people were skeptical, saying, what is this California company going to drop a bunch of, software? They don't know that we had teams from 40 different countries who are creating the software and that people were working, they just see somebody's building this tech here. And as we went on, people increasingly kept saying, well, can I have a tablet? Can I have some for my kid? What about my neighbor? By the end of the competition, that was the biggest thing we heard is, how do we get more of this technology? We had, personally, one of my most moving experiences was a mother who very proudly, came up to me and said, I'm not part of this competition. My child is. Watch what I can do now. I've never been to school. And she started writing her name and doing math. And it was, I'm in tears in a rainstorm in the Masai area in northern Tanzania, connecting with this woman who was my age and a mother like me, and just what this was able to do and what that can mean for an entire community. So, that's...
Can anyone go online and look at the results?
So, yes. I know, Anousheh's been pushing me, like, are you sure you can't just tell people? So please do. We're going to be live streaming our awards ceremony live from Google. So all XPRIZE channels will be live streaming. We're doing YouTube Live, so you can watch. Our teams don't even know who won. Even our international panel of judges, we just
I don't know
labeled.
who won the prize.
So they're just team A, B, C, D, so the judges don't even know. So you will be able to find out who won at the same time as even our CEO. So please do go to xprize.org, follow any of our social channels. And after that, rather than just saying, great, we're going to celebrate, we're very excited to give out $10 million. Obviously, that is a wonderful feeling to be able to honor our teams in that way. But the first day after the competition ends, so we end on May 15th. May 16th, we are starting with a workshop, we're saying, from celebration to action. And we're launching an online community. We've talked about this being open. We have a data commons where our data is going to be up there. We have GitHub repository where the code is up there. We are having educators, curriculum builders, global development people, really diverse across sectors, ed tech investors who are working to scale this over the next year. This is the moment to jump in. This is the time where we are revealing the data. It will all be live and open, and we need people to be involved. The world needs people to be involved. So please, if I may, from here, if you have networks, tell people about it. There's room and opportunity.
So, Laura, I want to close with you, and I want you shared some numbers with me on how many women and young girls are impacted by water scarcity around the globe, and that what is your ask? This is a community of very powerful people around the globe that can, if I were sitting in the audience, I would want to know how I can help give access to water to everyone who needs it. So what are you doing and how people here perhaps can get involved and engage and help?
Okay, well, according to the UN, 200 million women walk for water, and young girls walk for water every single day. And a lot of times the water is dirty, and they're always at risk. And the young girls are deprived of an education just because they're searching for water. So the demand is high, and we envision a world where women, instead of walking for water, they're actually making water in their own communities. They're making water, they're making energy, and they're making biochar that they can actually sell. And so then women will be more in the workforce than they will be cast out looking for water. And so what we're looking for is investors and funders for the global deployment of the technology. And so we're looking for impact investors, and we're also looking for investors that are mission driven, because we started this with a firm belief that everyone has a right to water. And so we want to be aligned with our investors as well. And we also feel that the water should be decentralized, and it needs to be community owned and point of use and distributed, and that would be something that would be really beneficial for communities that don't have any access to water at all.
Thank you. And I know at less than 2 cents per liter, definitely there's a business opportunity there as well while doing good in the world. So with that, I want to thank you both for being here and sharing your stories and your experiences. And I want to thank you all for being here and being part of this conversation. Thank you.